Question for you. Do you believe in going backwards? I mean, unlike Benifer, you know, the cheesy combo of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, going back is not something that we generally do. But what about the job front? Should we ever return to an ex-employer? I mean, if Steve Jobs could do it, then why can't you? My gut feel is that the answer is no. It would be a bad idea. But is this true? Let's have a look at why we may leave a job in the first place. People often leave jobs based on other opportunities that emerge. I mean, we've all been there. We get the job equivalent of shiny new object syndrome and we get pulled in to the next new thing. Sadly, not all these opportunities end up as we hope. In fact, they can, if you're unlucky, end up being far less attractive than they appeared to be. It's also fair to say that it takes time to figure out what we want to do in our careers. In fact, as we mature and evolve as not just professionals but also humans, we refine our understanding of what really matters to us, what's important, and what we truly want to prioritize in life. Let's take an example I'm sure we've all seen. Someone you know leaves the company you're working for because they've been tempted by a higher salary. Awesome! More importantly, that's more money in the bank account every month. But at what cost? The smile turns upside down over time as the leaver slowly begins to discover that the extra pay does end up meaning more longer working hours, a bit of a boring job, and being part of a company that conflicts with the core values that they hold dear. Research often tells us that it's more common than we think. I mean, this is often overlooked as only a tiny correlation actually overlaps between pay and job satisfaction. I think it's about 2% according to meta-analysis. Finally, a job boomerang often involves a former employee returning because they were wrong to leave in the first place. I mean, before we go any further, please just do me a quick favour and just push the like and subscribe button for me, will you please? It might not mean much to you, but it means the world to me, and also means that you will directly help me grow the channel and get it into the consciousness of other like-minded individuals. Anyway, in an age of increased job promiscuity, it's a bit of a mouthful, where the average job tenure for Gen Zs is 2 years and 3 months. Wow. Down from Gen Xers who were 5 years and 2 months. Changing jobs is much more frequent and accepted. With this increase in employee turnover, and let's be honest, only a finite amount of positions within certain industries, it could be inevitable that you end up looking at a former employer as a viable place to work. It's becoming less uncommon for individuals to work at a company twice, or even 3 times in some circumstances. 3 times. That is mind-blowing to me. But before we go any further, I would like to say that there are times when being a boomerang, I think, is a positive aspect. This is for senior positions, such as partners in accountancy or law firms. Starting your career and staying in situ all the way through, I personally think is a hugely negative situation to be in. I mean, how can you act in a company's best interests if you've never been on the other side? Buy and sell side services are vastly different, and I've done both. And to be honest, I can tell you those senior leaders who have never left companies that they've worked for. The really key example that comes to mind was the COO who had been at a company for 27 years, starting originally in the post room. I mean, it's a great story if nothing else. But when he proclaimed that their company had the best systems and processes in the market, but had never worked anywhere else, I knew it was time to leave. But, bringing it back. So being a boomerang can be a positive, but it is never a straightforward question. So with that, here are my 7 things to remember should you consider being a job boomerang. Number 1, remember why you left. Let's be honest, even the most horrific of relationships had their positive moments. And let's not mention Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And more often than not, it is easily those moments that are positive that we recall most. We could call this selective recollection. I mean, it leads people to repeat similar mistakes over and over again when you are only remembering the positive elements. When looking to return to a former place of employment, you must do your best to recognize this biased thinking. Do critical thinking. Try and remember why you left the place in the first place and determine if those circumstances are still relevant. Were you frustrated by a lack of upward mobility? Were you not being compensated fairly? Did you clash with your manager? I mean, generally the rule is that people don't leave for bad companies, they leave because of bad managers. You need to be extremely confident that your original reasons for leaving are no longer a factor before making a decision to return. Just remember, it will not be the same. It will be different. Friends will have moved on, or even worse, sometimes when you return, they can hold a bit of a grudge against you, especially if you come back in a more senior position. Just be aware of what you're walking into. Number 2, is it the right fit? I don't know. But much like personal relationships, it can be extremely comforting to returning to something that's familiar. There is no shame to admitting that we all feel safer in our respective comfort zones, but remembering that the comfort zone is where dreams and ambitions go to die. There is no doubt, though, that returning to a former employer does provide a certain level of comfort, but you must be critical and objective when considering a return. You need to ask yourself whether this move benefits your career in both the short and long term. I mean, if you're looking just to use this move as a stopgap measure, I think you should reconsider. I believe that you should only be looking to return to a former employer if the position and company provide you with a satisfying short and long-term alignment. There is nothing more embarrassing than returning to a company only to realise it was wrong and having to leave again a couple months later. I mean, that's just plain stupid, but also hurts your personal brand. Number 3 is about doing your homework. I mean, if your old boss calls you up and offers you your old job back, do you feel flattered or view it with a touch of scepticism? I would suggest you take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, being blunt, employers have a vested interest in recruiting the best possible candidates. So regardless of who it is or who you are, you should perform a decent level of due diligence. In the same way that when a company is taking over another, due diligence is the criteria to determine whether it's a good deal or not. So let's assume you still have some contacts within the company. You would be best served to get in touch with them and discuss the possibility of returning. In essence, just because you know the company doesn't mean you should neglect your responsibility to research them again properly. Number 4 is about don't overvalue your loyalty. I mean, it's undoubtedly flattering to know that someone out there wants you back, be it in a personal or professional reason. But when it comes to business, the individual always values loyalty over their business. Simply put, an individual has feelings that a company does not. And as such, it can be very conflicting when a former employer comes knocking, and it can be very tempting, come on, to make decisions out of misguided feelings of loyalty or indebtedness. Yes, there are difficult emotions to tease apart when looking to make a big decision, but they are essential. If I were being frank, I would say you shouldn't have loyalty to your employer. I know this is a controversial statement, but at the end of the day, the company will do what's best for them, and no one else looks out for number 1 other than you. So don't be naive. I told you, so no excuse. Number 5 is about being not too proud. I mean, the other side of the same coin is that many people often discard the notion of returning to a former employer as it can feel like taking a backward step, or returning to a place where they once were unwanted or underappreciated. I mean, whatever the reason, pride should never be a reason to dismiss out of hand a career opportunity. In your absence, the company may have grown or shifted tremendously and could easily be in a position to offer you a career-changing opportunity. But you need to know what you're walking into. Have things really changed? Again, go back, do your DD, due diligence, and decide for yourself. Because number 6 is about renegotiating everything. Just because you are returning an employee does not mean that you are immune from negotiating the terms of your employment. I mean, you should approach this as though you would any other employment. So regardless of the person sat across the table, you want to negotiate properly. This negotiation will also help set the tone for your future at the company, so to make sure that you are comfortable with all the terms involved. Some people blindly adopt a policy of never returning to a former employer, as they feel that there are no new challenges involved in returning to a familiar position. Now, this may be true, but being objective, it doesn't hurt to determine this for a fact beforehand. A great question to remember here is that you can't accept a job you've not been offered, so if you're not sure, pursue all the avenues, and you can always say no, even at the last moment. You might not be very popular, but you can. Number 7 is about being brutal. This is with yourself. That's you. Thinking you are comfortable with going back is one thing, but talking to a friend or family member is something else. Saying it out loud of what you're intending to do and seeing somebody's reaction will help you build your decision up. There is nothing worse than being excited about pursuing an opportunity, only for the person you're talking to not feel the same. I mean, whether you like it or not, deep down you will know whether it is the right thing to do. I had this exact feeling when joining Deloitte. I knew from the off it wasn't the right option, but I wanted to get back into the technical side, so I put those feelings to one side. The more I talked about it though, the more I knew it was wrong. but I thought I could change it. I thought I could change my feelings. I thought I could change my approach. You talk about internal transfers, promised opportunities. Things will be different. Are all great words to hear, but they can be very, very hollow. So ask yourself this. Are you trying to convince yourself to take the job? Or are you trying to convince yourself not to take the job? This is a very subtle but massive difference. In fact, write a comment below if you want to know why this is so important and we can have a good conversation. Now, personally, I don't believe in going back to a previous employer. I mean, the reasons for me leaving originally were probably strong enough to make me question why I wanted to be there in the first place. So unless something has truly materially changed, it won't be any different. If you go back for purely monetary reasons, I believe it will only be a matter of months before those frustrations return. If all you care about is money, well, perhaps you can cope with that. But if you want a fulfilling job, well, then you're heading down a one-way street to a world of trouble. Should either of my criteria for staying in a job not be fulfilled, am I continuing to learn and do I lose respect to the people I'm working for? If either of those start to get ticked, then I know I need to assess my options. But if going back gets you close to your goals, then it is worth considering, but make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. Because that's it. If you liked this video, I would highly recommend this video here where I talk about whether you should accept a counter offer. Very apt if you're looking to leave, because I think you'll find it super useful. But with that, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.